Hi, this is an example to help you with investigation 6. I am using the exploration 6.3 close friends from chapter 6 in the textbook, and it covers the same stuff, so it will work well for your investigation questions. I'm going to skip over the details about the study, but you can see in the table here, they essentially asked men and women how many close friends they had, and did they have 0, 1, up to 6 close friends. And you can see what the men and women said and what the total is right here. So as the book indicates here in number 7, we need to use the multiple means applet. The only place I've managed to find the multiple means applet is through this website for the book. And then if you click on applets, it takes you to a very different site than we've been using in class, and multiple means is right here at the top under quantitative response. So we need that. We also need to import data sets. And so the data sets link is to the right of applets, and then they're all labeled by chapter. And the one that we need for chapter 6 is close friends right here. So we need to copy and paste all this data. You could drag the mouse and copy it all, or you could just use Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac, and then Control C or Command C to copy it, or you could right click and copy. And then you want to go to the multiple means applet, and right where this box is, we want to get rid of that data. So I'm going to hit Control A or Command A, and then I'm going to paste, which is Control V, right over that data. So you can see it's all women and numbers and the word men and numbers. And at the top, it tells you the first column is the sex of the participant, and the second column is how many friends they claim, close friends they claim to have. After you have that data in, you want to click Use Data, and then you will see the applet respond, and it's now using your data. One of the questions that you're asked right away is to look for the summary statistics about the data, and they are all here. Here. You can also put a box plot onto your data that will give you a sense of how skewed or not skewed it is. And it does look like there's some right skewing perhaps in the men's data more than so in the women's data. And the summary statistics tell us that we have 813 results from the women, what their mean is, what their standard deviation is, and then the same thing for the men. And it also tells us the observed difference right here, the difference in mean. So if you subtracted 2.09 minus 1.86, you should get this 0.228. Now they're subtracting the men's number minus the women's number, which is why it's a negative number. So that is what we're doing in question 7 over in the text and looking at that detail. So now we want to draw inferences. By the way, the book has started using a statement kind of like what we do for interpreting the p-value, and they just have it written in a different order. So that's another way that you could say that statement. And we want to set up a null distribution. So we're going to go over to show shuffle options. And I'm going to put in 1,000 shuffles. And notice the hypothesized mu2 minus mu1, that's the difference in means, is 0, because the null hypothesis is that there is no difference. And then I'm going to click shuffle responses. And it's been a bit slow in responding, so we'll just wait for it. There it is. So we are interested in looking at our observed difference. And again, you could calculate that value yourself, or you can find it right here. And then I'm going to put it over here. So negative 0.228, it did not go in. Negative 0.228, count. And it's all red because I don't have my greater than thing, it should be less than. And now you can see, I just want this part in the tail, so that changes it. Also, you can see the p-value in red under the word count, and it is 0.01, so pretty small. So we have some significant data here. Couple other things we can do. We can change this drop box to a t statistic. So it's converting all our data to a t statistic, just like we could convert data to a z statistic. And then it's telling us our new t statistic is negative 2.45. I could go over to the box again. I could put in the t statistic on the t distribution and hit count. And look, you can see the p-value is very similar. That is because that's from the simulation. Hold on a second. Let's overlay the t distribution. There it is. See that blue? That's the t distribution. And this orange theory-based p-value 0.007, that's using the curve and telling us the area under the curve, whereas the 0.011 is showing us the area under the simulated not so smooth distribution. Okay, so that is using our t statistic. And if we're going to use a t statistic, we have to think about validity conditions. And in this case, we should have at least 20 observations, which we do. We have 813 and 654. And our sample distribution should not be strongly skewed. And I'm going to go ahead and say that what we have here counts. You can see there's some skewing from our box plot, but it's not crazy from what I can tell. So the last thing that we might want to do on this screen is to get a confidence interval. And the confidence interval only works for the difference in means here. It's only calculated for that. And you can see what it is right here. And notice that our value of negative 0.228 is within this confidence interval, and the number 0 is not in the confidence interval. So that gives us a better clue, another clue from our p-value that the null hypothesis is wrong because 0 didn't show up in our confidence interval. So that's a nice little check that goes along with our p-value. All right, one more thing that I think is worth looking at. Back to the regular Rossmann chance applets. Under the theory-based inference, we can do another check, another way of looking at this. So we are looking at two means, and then we can get our information about them. So the women had 813 and the men had 654. So I think they did the men first, so I'll do it that way, 813. And for the mean, we have 2.09 and 1.86. And then finally for the standard deviation, we have 1.76 for the women and 1.78 for the men right there. I'm just going to double check that I have my numbers correct before I go on. Looks like I do. All right, I'm going to calculate. I am going to put in both the tested significance and the confidence interval. You can see the confidence interval is in the negatives, and negative 0.4 something and negative 0.04 something, which is what we saw over here. So very similar. Not quite exactly the same. They also are showing us a t distribution and giving us a p-value, very similar to the one we had before, which was, it's missing right now, but it was 0.007. Let's get that back. So there's the 0.0072, very similar to this 0.0068. And I think that's everything that we need for this applet. So, or this investigation. There you have it.